Divorce doesn't destroy your equity overnight, but bad decisions do. After 20 years in real estate, I still see the same costly mistakes. Divorcing couples who rush to decide what to do with the house often suffer for it later. I'm Melina Rizon, and in this video, I'll give you 3 easy steps and a framework that'll help you slow down, get the right information, and make a housing decision you won't regret later. If you're going through divorce, the home is usually the biggest shared asset, the biggest shared debt, and the most emotional part of the process. And here in San Diego or anywhere in the country, prices and neighborhood differences can make a rushed decision expensive. Now, I'll walk you through a simple framework I use to keep housing decisions calm and organized. It's called the 3-phase divorce housing journey. These steps will help you avoid making the wrong real estate decisions at the worst possible time. So let's walk through those 3 phases. Phase number 1 is stabilization. This is the what do I do right now phase. The aim here is to understand the basics of your financial situation. In this phase, most people are asking the same questions. Do I have to move right away? Can I afford this house on my own? What if I make the wrong decision? What matters most here is information before action. You want a neutral professional home value based on current local data, not on online estimates. Relying on an online home valuation can cause real problems, especially here in San Diego. Pricing is hyper-local. 2 homes with similar square footage can land at every different value based on condition, street, location, and neighborhood demand. If you're using a number to make a buyout or sale decision, it needs to be a neutral number based on the real market. I've seen couples assume they had saved $400,000 equity based on online estimates, only to discover after closing costs and repairs, the real net was closer to $280,000. That difference can completely change your approach. Once you've determined a value you can rely on, you want to confirm the mortgage balance and calculate your true equity. And you want to separate emotional attachment from financial reality. When everyone's working from the same set of facts, the conversation becomes more relaxed and less hectic. This phase might also include a short-term arrangement while you gather your information. Sometimes both spouses stay in the home temporarily. Sometimes one spouse moves out, but ownership stays the same. Sometimes renting is the smartest bridge because it protects flexibility while you sort out the financial picture. Stabilization might feel like you're not doing enough or moving too slow. But that's just it. You're taking it slow on purpose so that you don't lock yourself into something permanent before you've gathered the facts. Market timing can matter, but usually your specific financial and legal situation matters far more. Once you have that breathing room, you move into phase 2, which is evaluation. This is the what are my real options phase. Now that you've gotten your basic financial uncertainties cleared up, your goal is to clarify the details, then make a confident choice based on solid numbers. This is where I want you to shift the question most people ask, can I keep the house? When the better question is, should I keep the house? Because affordability after divorce is different. Property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and repairs can become a huge burden on one's income. The right decision here may not be the one that feels most comfortable for you emotionally. It's the one that supports financial stability month after month. It can be hard to put aside all you cherished, all the memories, but it's a critical step. Tax and financial considerations can also come up in this phase. Timing, potential capital gains, and how to proceed effectively with your next move. Here, I would advise you to get the professional financial and tax advice. Don't overwhelm yourself. Get professionals to help. Evaluation also means understanding your legal situation to decide on your strategy. Before you refinance, sell, transfer title, or agree to a buyout, you need to understand how temporary orders, community property rules, support calculations, and tax implications could affect the outcome. A housing decision made too early can unintentionally shift leverage or create financial exposure. It's important to consult a legal professional to keep things clear for you. Once you have all the details nailed down, it's decision time. In most divorce situations, the options fall into a few similar paths. You sell the home and split the proceeds, one spouse buys out the other, or you co-own temporarily until a clear plan has been established. Less commonly, people keep the home jointly long-term as an investment, but that only works when communication is strong and the legal structure is very clear before we move into phase 3. If this type of guidance is useful, be sure to subscribe. I post videos to help families in San Diego and across the country make housing decisions with maximum profit and minimum stress. Now, phase 3 is transition. This is the what's next phase. The goal is to execute the plan. The key here is to be sure you and your spouse are aligned. You want agreement on timing, presentation, and how decisions will be handled so the process doesn't get derailed by stress or miscommunication. Selling during divorce can still require cooperation, so structure is everything. And when your attorney and real estate professional are also aligned, the process is usually even smoother. If one spouse is keeping the home, the details matter. A buyout has to match a realistic refinance path and a realistic post-divorce budget. Wanting to keep the house is not the same as being able to keep it safely without becoming house rich or cash poor. Transition also includes the next housing step. Some people downsize for lower expenses and less upkeep. Some rent intentionally while they reset, sometimes for the long term, sometimes just temporarily before buying again once the dust settles. The right answer is the one that protects your credit, preserves your equity, and fits your new monthly reality. Now let's cover the costly mistakes I see most often because these are avoidable. We've talked about the biggest ones already. Moving too fast with incomplete information, relying on online estimates that can often be inaccurate, and making a decision before you understand your true equity. Another related mistake is agreeing to a buyout before confirming your refinance and before you approve. One spouse agrees to keep the house and pay the other their share of equity, but they haven't actually verified with the lender that they qualify on their income. The assumption is, I've always paid the mortgage, so it'll be fine. But divorce changes everything. Now, the loan is based on one income, potentially new support payments, and today's interest rates, not the rate you locked in years ago. I've seen people agree to a $250,000 buyout only to find out that they can't refinance after all, or they technically qualify, but the new payment jumps by $2,000 per month because the rate is higher. At that point, they're stuck, either scrambling to renegotiate or forced to sell under pressure. A buyout isn't real until the refinance is approved in writing. Pre-approval is the minimum. Full underwriting is better. Otherwise, you're negotiating based on hope instead of numbers. Finally, let's answer a couple of the most common questions that I get. First, do you have to sell before the divorce is final? Or can you wait? In many cases, you don't have to sell before everything is final, but you should confirm timing with your attorney. Waiting can make sense depending on financial readiness and market conditions, but only if the plan is clear. And if cooperation breaks down, neutral pricing, documentation, and professional coordination can keep the process moving forward. Another question that comes up often is, what if one spouse refuses to cooperate? It's not uncommon, and it doesn't automatically mean you're stuck. In many cases, the divorce court has the authority to order the sale of the home, appoint a neutral real estate professional, or set deadlines for a refinance or listing. A house can't remain in limbo forever just because one person won't engage. The key is making sure your housing strategy is coordinated with your attorney so you can take the right legal steps. What you don't want to do is escalate emotionally or make unilateral moves out of frustration, like stopping payments or trying to force a private sale. That almost always backfires. When cooperation breaks down, structure becomes even more important. Court orders, documented communication, and neutral professionals help shift the situation from conflict to process. Now let's wrap up. Before you decide what happens to the house, get clarity on 3 things. What's the current market value based on local data? What's the mortgage balance based on true equity? And is keeping the home financially sustainable, not just emotionally comforting? When you have those answers, the decision usually gets very clear. Divorce housing decisions don't have to be rushed. The 3-phase divorce housing journey gives you a way to keep the pressure down, gather the right information, and make a decision you both can live with. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want real numbers instead of guesses, Reach out today for a complimentary, pressure-free home value report. It's a simple first step that helps you see your options clearly and decide what makes sense for your next chapter. My name is Melina Vidal. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.